In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a product slider for free on Elementor using CoDesigner. Now, I have done a similar video on this in the past, showcasing a different plugin, but I wanted to show some love to CoDesigner because it has some amazing features that I'm sure you guys will love. Now, this is a product slider that we're going to be creating here. As you can tell, it looks very clean, and we can add things to our cart, and we can go ahead and slide through each product or products because there's 2 of them per slide. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Uriel Soto, and I make Elementor and WordPress content for all levels. So if you guys are interested in these types of tutorials, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Now, if you do end up enjoying this video, make sure to like it for the YouTube algorithm. In case you guys want to improve your Elementor skills, I have some courses down in the description that will definitely help you guys out. So feel free to check those out. Now, I hope you enjoy the video. So let's go ahead and begin. So head over to your plugins and go ahead and install and activate CoDesigner. This is how it looks like here. Let me go into the view details. Just go ahead and search for that on the plugins. Now, it does various things with Elementor, but we're mainly going to be focusing on the WooCommerce portion. So once you've installed and activated that, we need to go into the CoDesigner settings. So go ahead and click on CoDesigner settings here. And then go into widgets. And then basically we just need to turn on our shop slider. So make sure it should be unchecked for you, but just make sure that is checked here. And then once you have that checked, go ahead and click on save settings. Now, I will probably have more videos out on CoDesigner, probably something going over their shop widget. So we'll have that out soon for you guys. Now from here, let's go into our Elementor editor. And let's go ahead and begin. So go into your widgets and then scroll down. And then now we're going to have a portion called CoDesigner Shop, and we're going to grab our shop slider. So go ahead and drag that right into your section. I already have my section created here. Now, in case you guys are wondering and I didn't go over this template here is actually from CoDesigner. So once you install and activate the plugin, you're going to have access to that. You can go in here and view their blocks and also their pages. I just grabbed it from here. It's this one here in case you guys are wondering. So let's go ahead and just start customizing our slider. So make sure that you have your shop slider settings here. So the first thing that we have is our animation speed. So basically whenever we click on this arrow, we will notice that it will transition pretty quick to the next slide. If we do want to slow that down, maybe we can do 500 instead. Now, as you can tell, that is going to be a little bit slower, but we can even do 1000 and this will dramatically slow it down. So it depends how you guys want to go about adjusting your speed on your slide transition. But I'm going to set that up probably to 700 for now, or that's 7000. So let's make sure we switch that to 700. And then we have our autoplay. So if we want to go ahead and have this autoplay once the website is loaded, we can have that checked to yes. For me, it's fine having that at autoplay, and then you can adjust your autoplay speed. So basically how much time it should take for the next slide to switch. So I'm going to have that at 3000 is fine. So it's 3000 milliseconds, just so then you know. It says right here, autoplay speed in milliseconds. That's fine with me, but maybe we can set this up to 5000 instead. And then we just have an infinite loop. Now I'm just going to leave that as on. Of course, I want this to just keep going. So then it doesn't have to go and switch back, because if we leave that check that off, we will notice that whenever we go to a certain spot, you see how we can't keep clicking to the next slide over. And for me personally, having it infinite loop is just a lot better, for them people can just keep scrolling through and they can keep viewing the products. So we're going to leave that as is for now. Now our arrows and navigation, so you can either have arrows or dots, or you can even have arrows and dots. I'm just going to leave it at arrow. Honestly, I did test the dots and it is a little bit glitchy, so they might fix that bug later on. But it's no problem because I like having arrows instead. And then you can choose the icons for your arrows. I'm not going to be going over this too much. Basically, if you just want to click on this and then type in arrow, and then you can choose a different arrow for the icon instead. And I love how you're able to just switch between different icons. That's actually pretty cool. And then we have show at once. Currently we're only showing 2 products per slide, but I can have this adjusted to maybe 1 product per slide. But to be honest, it doesn't look that great. We can do 3, but you can see that we're having this issue with the sizing. So I just like to do 2. I feel like everything fits properly, so that's fine there. And then we can have our slider alignment. You can have it set to vertical, but let's be real, that does not look great. So I'm gonna have that set to horizontal. And then we have layout here. So basically this is our content alignment. And let's say we wanted to shift our text and all that to the left side and have our image on the right. We can go ahead and adjust that here, as you can tell. But I like having everything on the left side, so that works great for me. And then we're going to go over the product source. Now I feel like this part is super important because I know I always get this question is, can we use different product categories? Yes, you can. So basically right now we have the product source is a shop, but we can do upsells, we can do, you know, cross sells, and we can do even cart upsells. And we have all this various stuff that we can do. I'm not going to be going over those too much unless you've already had those integrated with your website. The most important part here is a custom query. So if we click that to yes, and then we go ahead and scroll down here to include categories. I love this, guys. So we can go ahead and just choose whatever category we want. We can do fruit. We can do apple. We can do whatever category we want to have on here. We can go ahead and add those in, and I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove this for now, but we can go ahead and add those in. And then you can even exclude categories pretty much the same way as including. And then we have include products. Let's say we have a set categories right now, but we want to grab like 3 or 4 products from another category, but we don't want to go ahead and grab that entire category. We just want to grab those products. Well, this is where you're able to do that. You add the ID of that product, and then if you want to add another one, you add a comma, and then you add that other ID of that other product. So you can add various products on here. And then the other one is exclude products. It's basically the same thing as include. You can just exclude certain products from categories. So it's pretty straightforward there. And then we can also have it so then we only show on sale products. So as you can tell, if we go through this, it's only going to show our on sale products. So maybe we can change this title to products on sale. So it's pretty cool that we're able to adjust that and filter that there. So let me go back here and go into, I think we were on our product source. And then we can hide products that are out of stock. I don't really need that, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Usually my products that are out of stock, I kind of tend to just not show anyway. But maybe that is something that you want to have on there. And then we have offset. It's not really too important there. So I'm going to skip over to product images. And then we have on click. So let's say we want to have our visitors click these images here and view them and have them zoomed in. So we can click zoom in. And then we can just click on the image, and as you can tell, now it's zoomed in and they can view the product there. Or we can have it so then whenever people click on the product image, they go straight to the product page. So that's how that's set up there. I'm just going to set it up to on click product page. I feel like that is very useful there. And then this is just if we want to go ahead and show our on sale ribbon. So if you don't want to show your on sale ribbon, you can just check it here to hide. But I like to show that there, so we're going to leave it on show. And then we can go ahead and also change what it's supposed to say on here. Currently it says sell, but maybe you speak a different language and you want to go ahead and change that to your language there. So then from here we have stock text, and then from here we have stock text. So basically this is just where you can change the text for out of stock. I'm going to leave it as is, but of course if you have a different language, you can just change that to your language. So the rest of these are set to pro, so I'm not really going to be going over those. Now let's go over the style portion of the shop slider widget here. So the first one that we have here is our card. Then we have our background type here. This is just going to adjust our product card here for every single one. So if I click on here, so we have the option to either add just one color, we can add a gradient, and then we can even add an image. But if I want to just change the background of these cards, I can just choose a color here. I'm not going to choose red because that does not look that great. I'm going to choose a really light gray. I feel like that will work with this website here. And it may even work for you. I'm probably going to remove that border, to be honest, but that is just my preference. So now let's go over the border type. So let's set that to solid. And then so we can make the border a lot more thicker if we wanted to, and then adjust the color of this border to whatever color you would like. Maybe we can do a really light gray, but to be honest, I'm not liking the border on this. So I'm just gonna set this to 0 and not have a border. And then now I'm gonna adjust the background a little bit more of this. So maybe we're gonna do another gray here, just a slightly bit darker, not too dark, so then but something that fits well. I think this may work. Yes, that works. It would be great if these product images were transparent, if they had a transparent background, but it's fine. We're just gonna go with this here. So now we can set a box shadow. I'm not gonna set a box shadow to this. I don't think it looks that great with a box shadow, but feel free to use this. It's the same way as you would set up a box shadow for any column or section. And then we can set up a margin. Let's say you want to do a margin 20 if you wanted to add some spacing inside the box there. But you would think margin would be on the outside of it, but it's fine. It's more like padding, to be honest. So let's set that. Oh, there we go. I think it was maybe glitching out there. And now let's go into the product title. It's pretty straightforward. You can just change the color of your title here, whatever that may be. I'm going to keep it at black. I think that's fine. And then you can change the typography. It's the same way as changing any typography on Elementor. So I'm not going to be going over this. And then we have our short description here. So we can show a description or we can hide it. But I'm going to show my short description because I don't like to have that blank space there. And then we can adjust our typography. That is fine with me, but you can adjust that however you would like. And then you can change your color. I think it's fine on the color that it's already set. So we're not going to worry about that. And then we can adjust our word count. So we can maybe have more than 20 words. We can have 60. But truly that would probably not look the best. I don't have that many words on my short description anyway, so 20 works for me, but you can go ahead and adjust that accordingly. Now let's go into the product price here, and we can adjust the product price color, the typography. We can even show the sell price if we wanted to add that there. I actually think that's great, showing the sell price, so we'll include that. And you can adjust the colors here however you would like, and adjust the typography. As mentioned, I'm not really going to be going over that. Let me go back here because I think I set it back to Roboto, and I kind of don't like what I did there. So it was set to monster. Let me see if I can change this back here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to set that as is, pretty much how it was. Don't want to be touching that up because I feel like it already looks fine how it is. Now we can adjust the sell price, typography, and color, but maybe we wanted to do a red instead for that. You see that? So maybe we can do that. But that is up to you how you would like to go about doing that. But I think the red looks fine, so we're going to leave that as is. And then we're going to go into the currency symbol. Now you can adjust this little currency symbol for both of them. Currently it's set to 14, but of course you can adjust that there, but I don't need that. So I'm going to leave it as is. That looks fine. You can even change the color. Maybe we want to shift this to red, but that's not really necessary. It does not look great at all. Now let's go into the product image, and this is where we can adjust the sizing. And I absolutely love this because most widgets do not have this sort of stuff where you can adjust the sizing, and there's always a bunch of issues, and this is just super cool. So we can set our image to full size. This part isn't really that important, but you can adjust this. I would just set it to full size, and then this is where the magic happens. Image width, you can go ahead and adjust that to pretty much whatever size you would like. Obviously go to the largest size that it could without stretching it, but this is fine with me, so I'm gonna just leave this as how it was. I don't need to adjust this because I think it already looks great, but I love that you're able to do this because I know that I've had issues in the past and I've had questions asked about doing stuff like this, and there we have it. So this is a really good plugin. I'm probably going to go over it a bit more, so I'm very excited. And then we have our image height. Now you can adjust this too, but I'm going to set it to how it is. But if you start to mess with these, you see how I'm going to adjust this and then I adjust the height. You see how now that is really stretching it out. So it just depends on how you want to set that up. I'm going to set it to default on here. And then we can adjust the image box sizing. So pretty much, as you can tell, if I make this a little smaller, you would notice that the box would shrink. Now, the image is inside the box. Just keep that in mind. That's why it's doing that. It's inside a div. So I'm just going to leave this to default. Alrighty. And then we have an image border if we wanted to add an image border around our product image. But I'm not going to have that there. I'm going to leave that at none. Border radius, if you did maybe want to set this to 100, and then now we have a circle here for each product. Looks kind of cool, but I'm going to leave it as is by default anyway. And then we can add a box shadow to this. I'm not really going to do that. Same settings as adding it to your section or column. And then we can also even adjust the opacity, which I guess can be useful in some cases if you need that. But you never know, probably it was requested and that's probably why it was added. But maybe we can add a little hover effect where on hover it fades a little bit, but I don't really need that, so I'm just gonna leave it at default here. And then we have a transition duration you can even have, which pretty much just works like this. You set an opacity and then you just set a duration, and it's basically a duration from the opacity from the beginning of the opacity to the end. So as you can tell, the fade is a little slower, but I don't need any of this. And then we even have CSS filters, but I don't think that's necessary. But if you did want to maybe change some color of it, I know you can gray it out doing a certain way, but not really going to go over that too much. It's up to you. And then we have our cell ribbon. So this is where we can add the style to our ribbon. If we wanted to make it red, or if we wanted to maybe change the sizing, change the font of this. So we can even choose offset, so we can maybe move it around if we wanted to, but obviously it's not something I'm going to do because it doesn't look great. And then we can adjust the width of this if you even wanted to, but like I mentioned, it doesn't look great. But for some cases you might have that issue where you need to adjust those. And then you can even shift this around. Maybe you wanted it like this instead, but I'm just going to set it to how it was because I think that looks great. We can adjust the color of the text. I'm going to set that to white anyway because that's where it was. And if we wanted to adjust maybe to a different color, I'm going to set this to a slight red. Now you don't want to set it to a really harsh red. I usually like to set these cells to like a slight lighter red there. I think that looks, it's you know, it's not that harsh on the eyes, right? So, and then plus obviously red, and just using any of those colors always draws the attention. And then we have our padding. So this is just the inside of our cell box there. So we can maybe do 20. As you can tell, that's going to start to adjust everything. I'm going to leave it as is. I feel like that's fine. And then we have a border in case you wanted to add a border for some reason. I don't need one, but you may want to add one if you need to. But it's not honestly necessary for me, so I'm going to leave this as is. I feel like that's already looking great. We can adjust the width of this if you wanted to, but I'm not going to be using a border, so I'm just going to set this to none anyway if you wanted to adjust that. And we have a border radius in case you wanted to add a border radius to this, but I'm not going to. It's not necessary here. And then we have our stock ribbon. This is just to set up our out of stock. I currently don't have anything out of stock, so I'm not really going to be going over this part too much, so because there's nothing I can really show. And then we have our cart button here. I love how you can change the cart icon here to any icon that you may want. Maybe you want to use a different icon. Maybe you want to upload your own. That's definitely very useful. You can adjust the icon size to this however you would like. I kind of thought that it was already looking good, so I'm going to leave it how it was. And then we have our normal state here. So we can adjust the color of our icon here, maybe to red or whatever color you may want. I'm actually going to add some little style to this cart here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the icon to white, and then the background here, we're going to set it to a slight red, a light red here. And then we're going to adjust our border radius, and we're going to set that to 100. And then our area size, we're going to go ahead and increase that here. So it's a little more visible, right? We want to track the eyes to this cart so then people can add this to their cart here. So I might make this red a little more darker, so then it's more noticeable. There we go, and we can see the cart icon as well. So that looks pretty good. And then we can even set up a hover state, so we can have maybe the background white and the color of the cart maybe a slight red. We can grab that same red that we're using, to be honest, and just go ahead and paste it here. And I could have saved it to my library, but it's fine. But as you can tell, whenever I hover over this, we have this cool little hover effect here. We can even add a border if we wanted to. Maybe we'll add this here. Slight 1 pixel border, and then whenever we hover over that, you see that looks very clean. And then whenever people view the cart, you can adjust that there. It's not really that important for me, so I'm just gonna leave it as is, and then all the other settings are fine. So now let's go into the wish list button. Now this part, you can go ahead and adjust this little icon wish list. Whenever people click, they can add this here to their wish list, but I think you have to set that up. But you can adjust the icon size of this and even the color and everything, same way as we did with the cart button. But I'm not going to be going over this too much. I feel like it already looks fine how it is, and it looks clean, so I'm not going to adjust that, but you can go ahead and do that if you need to. And then we have our navigation arrows, which I feel like is really important, but honestly they already look great how they are. We can adjust the position on these to vertical wherever we would like, but I'm honestly going to leave that as is. I think it's fine where it's at. I think there's a little glitch right now where if you try to save this, if you try to maybe add these out here and then you save it and you view it, it's probably still going to be inside the box, so that's why I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm going to set these back to default anyway. So you can adjust the icon size from here of this arrow, but I think it's great how it looks. The arrow circle, you can adjust the sizing of that. That looks fine how it is, so I'm just going to leave it. You can maybe remove the border if you wanted to and set that to 0. It's already currently set to 0, but we can just have it set to border none, and it would just add the border there by default anyway. We can adjust the border radius here. So let's say you want to have a square instead, just set this to 0, and there you go. I like to have a circle there, so I'm going to set it by default and remove that. I mean, they just have it set to 100 by default anyway, but it's up to you how you want to go about doing that. And then we have our color of our icon and our background there. So if we wanted to maybe adjust the color of our circle here, it's currently set to white. We can maybe set it to red or what color you may want to use. I think it looks fine, so we're going to leave it as is. And you can adjust the icon color as well, whatever color that you want there. But like I mentioned, it's great already. Hover, we can add a hover state to this. So maybe we want to have a slight gray whenever we hover over this. There you go, you see it's now just slight gray. It's up to you how you want to do that. I'm gonna have a slighter gray though. I think that's fine. There we go. Now I'm gonna click update and just check how this looks here. Now after this, I'm gonna be going over the mobile version because that is super important. Okay, so all right, so it's looking great. Now let's check this out on mobile. First, we'll start off on tablet, actually. I always say mobile, but I actually mean tablet sometimes. Whenever I say mobile, I mean like every device smaller than desktop is basically mobile to me, but technically that's wrong. There's still tablet and then mobile, and there's various other screen sizes too. But anyway, let's start off on tablet. So let's go first. Let's go over here. And so on tablet, currently we have it set to show at once 2 cards, but I'm actually going to set this to 1 just so that everything fits better. And I would suggest that you have it set like that. As you can tell, that looks a lot cleaner. But if you wanted to have 2, you can do that as well. You would just need to go ahead and adjust your word amount there. And I think it's going to be your word count here. I forget which setting it was that you can adjust the word count. It might be short descriptions here. But see, the problem with this here is that it's set for basically all devices. So we might even have to duplicate one of these and then have a specific one on here set for mobile and the other one set for desktop. And you can do that by going to advanced and going to responsive and then adjusting these. So one of them can be set, one of them can be for desktop, and then so this one will be set for desktop, and then maybe the one above it, you would just click on this, click on the widget here or the element, and then go into the positioning, and then just set these, just set this one to hide on desktop basically. So if you wanted to do it that way, I just want to give you guys some options there in case you wanted to use 2 columns instead. So but we're gonna have this set to just one column here, or 1 card. And that's pretty much it for tablet. That already looks fine, so I'm going to leave it as is. Now let's go into mobile. And it's pretty much already going to be set the same way. Well, it did glitch out a little there, but it's looking great now. So we have it show at once. We only want 1. Now I know for those of you that want 2 of them, you can do that. But like I said, make sure you duplicate it and have one set for mobile and the other one set for desktop. You'll just need to adjust those settings there. But I like it set to just 1, and that's fine. So that is pretty much it for this video. I will have more videos on CoDesigner, probably going over the shop widget because it is very cool as well, and it looks pretty clean. So I know you guys are really gonna enjoy that. Now that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys did find it helpful, make sure to like it for the YouTube algorithm. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Now, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed my content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.